Aaron, you can do the introductions.
All right, sounds good. So thank you everybody for joining us today. In case you don't know me, I'm Aaron Zakowski. I'm a fractional CMO working primarily with B2B and SaaS companies. Recently met Luke Harmon, reached out on LinkedIn, we got connected, and was really fascinated by the stuff he was doing with his clients, building sales funnels really around LinkedIn events and being able to capture the attendees' information, getting people into a sales funnel, and being able to sell to his customers. And I was fascinated by this whole, I don't know if it's a new strategy, but it's, I think, a strategy that more people are catching on to, but not too many people are using it. So I think it's still somewhat of a blue ocean strategy that a lot of us can be jumping onto. I wanted to share with my audience and learn from Luke what he's been doing to use LinkedIn events to start driving, sales for his clients and for his own business, and how, I can be doing the same, and hopefully some of you guys can learn as well. So a little bit about Luke. He's got his bio up here on the screen. He owned a company, Profits for Purpose, B2B company purchased by Blackbaud, and now currently running Serendipity Sales, which is a HubSpot agency where he helps his clients grow via the strategies we're learning about today. And I'm really excited to be learning kind of what he does and ins and outs of how this event was set up and how he sets events up like this for his clients to drive sales. As for myself, in case you don't know me, I ran an agency, Zambo Digital, for about 14 years, where we helped B2B SaaS companies, primarily with Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads. Most of the companies were startup growth stage, but all the way up to unicorn, Series D and E companies that we worked with as well. Currently, I've actually closed down my agency a couple months ago for a number of reasons, and working as a fractional CMO, working on demand gen, growth marketing, things like that for growth stage B2B and SaaS companies. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Luke for his presentation because I know he's got a lot of great stuff for us today.
Nice. Yeah, thanks, Aaron. And okay, yeah, so this is 5 pillars of HubSpot and LinkedIn sales funnels that Aaron introduced. I'm going to go through it, but then Aaron, feel free to jump in with any questions. For people that are attending, you can also write questions in the chat that someone on our team will either answer or we can pose those at the end here. So I'll kind of fly through this, and yeah, I'm excited. Okay, so sales funnels are a mechanism to do 2 things. 1, bring in new leads, and 2, accelerate their path to becoming a client. So at Profits for Purpose, my B2B company that I had for a decade, it was like, man, our sales cycle was so long, 9 months. And it was like tiring for our salespeople to be like following up with leads, like, hey, do you want to buy yet? And so this providing educational targeted content accelerated that sales cycle. I think before looking at the specifics, I just want to like frame for everyone where we are here. So why are sales funnels important? Is because people do business with people they know, like, and trust. So this is a rough diagram of the psychological steps that someone goes through when they decide to sign a contract with your company. Okay, the first time they ever hear about you, they're like, who is this? Eventually they say, okay, like this looks interesting enough that I'll check this out. And then they're not there yet to say like that this content is valuable, but they might say this content seems valuable. They'll check out a piece of content or 2. This seems valuable. Then they cross this chasm that, wow, this content is valuable. Eventually, the more exposure they get to your company, maybe it's through demos, maybe it's through webinars, maybe it's through TikTok videos. Like eventually they say, not only is that content valuable, this company and the product is valuable. So they cross that gap, and then they finally start saying, I could work with this company. And then eventually, where you need to get them to sign a contract is where they say, I need to work with this company. So these are the stages that people go through, and I'm sure you guys are very, very familiar with them. And once again, before getting into the nitty-gritty of creating these sales funnels in HubSpot and LinkedIn, the common mistake it is with B2B brands is people either live on this side of this, process or this side. So on this side, they make the mistake of saying every bit of growth that we do needs to have an ROI tied to it. And so we hire commission-only salespeople, and we're just going to cold call everybody. And it actually does work, right? That's why that exists, but it can come across as inauthentic. It skips all these stages of trust, and it hits a growth ceiling actually pretty quick. Like you can only cold call your target audience so many times. On the other hand, other brands, they say, I'm going to get into marketing. I'm going to create content. And then, man, to play the TikTok algorithm, it's like you need to create 8 to 12 videos a day, or the quantity is enormous, and they live here and they actually don't cross this gap to getting viewed this way. And so they create content that's not gated, it's a ton of work, and you're not really sure the impact that it's having. Once again, this is a B2B strategy. For an e-commerce brand, you kind of need to live here, because you're a marketing driven organization as far as revenue. But B2B brands are driven by their sales. So how do we cross this gap? So that's what sales funnels are. Sales funnels live here. And this could be 20 steps and 5 months, or with a sales funnel, you can get it down to, let's say, 3 steps in 1 month. Let's get that time and space, from them becoming aware of who you are to saying, I need to work with this company. How fast can we make this move? And that's with this strategy. So that's what this is. I think a more traditional way of thinking about it is just middle of the funnel content, right? And having stuff that's gated. That's really, I think, in traditional language where this lives. And with that being said, I'm going to jump into the 5 pillars of it. Before I do, maybe I'll pause and see if Aaron, do you have any questions, or you think I should just keep cruising?
No, I think so. So far, we're doing pretty good. I think this is the foundation, and I think we'll get into some of the tactics and specific strategies soon. So.
Okay, I love it. So, okay, pillar 1 is infrastructure. Audit your infrastructure. That is HubSpot and LinkedIn. Then you need to look at your audience and messaging. Then you need to
actually, Luke, if I cut you off for 1 second, you're saying HubSpot, but theoretically, this could work with any of the larger CRMs as well, right? Like Zapier will still sync things the same way, right?
Yeah, theoretically, exactly. Yep. You could do it with Salesforce. You could do it with ActiveCampaign. You could do it with any CRM.
Cool.
But I think it deserves some serious consideration which one you use, for a couple of reasons that when I go through pillar 1, I'll talk about.
Cool.
Audience and messaging, build the sales funnel. Pillar 4, drive leads into that sales funnel, and then amplify it in the 5th pillar. Okay, so infrastructure. To your point about the right tool, you could use Excel, right? But the right tool makes all the difference. And so this office is in my home. Before I was a homeowner, I did not own a tool chest because I didn't have the responsibility of a home to take care of things. But as soon as I moved into a home and had the responsibility of this larger entity to take care of, I started realizing the value of the right tools. And so you could do this with ActiveCampaign or a spreadsheet. I don't think that's enough. You can do it with Salesforce. I think that's too much. I'm a big fan of HubSpot because HubSpot has a good entry level product set to kind of get you off the ground, and it can grow with you. So in the last year, I've had 3 clients that raised Series A and have grown dramatically. And the ones that did not have HubSpot in place had a ton of problems to deal with down the road. But software tools are only as good as the user, right? So let me show you this. What I do before using HubSpot anytime is, let me show you an example. I do a design thought exercise of, okay, this is like an example from a client. What is the flow that a lead goes through if they ever came into a sales funnel? And then what's their engagement with us? What's their experience with us once they give us their information? And then what's our sales cycle? So with this client, they have 5 ways that a lead would come into an interaction with their brand, right? So these are the 5, and we need to define, where does that lead go and what communication do they get? And then as you define this, now if you have this done, now it's time to say, like, let's layer in a HubSpot or a CRM. And you need to make sure that CRM can do the things that you are calling out here, right? So once again, it's not just like sign up for a CRM and it'll all work. It's do the hard work to like define the actual steps of the flow that a user goes through in their journey with you. And then does the tool have all the things that you need to be able to grow with you? So first of all, you have to have a foundation of infrastructure. My second key point here is fundamentally, a sales funnel is different than the regular, uh, like, triangle sales funnel. It's a flipped funnel. You need to, if you're going to put a webinar out there, like this is an exact case. The people that are on this webinar, we didn't just say, hey, Luke and Aaron are going to do this webinar. Let's post it out to the world. We said, who needs to come to this that would find value in it, that could become a client of one of ours one day. And we built the list of people that would do it, that would come. So in my mind, it's flipping the funnel. And that work needs to be done. So you need to go through either it's ICP, ideal customer profile, account-based strategy. So practical tools, and Aaron, I know you were my favorite tool for building lists, and I'm sure almost everyone on this call has done this. I mean, LinkedIn Sales Navigator is $100. It's like $80 a month. Account filters. So for some clients, they say, we're going to make our dream 1,000 accounts that we want our brand to be famous at. And we're going to go build those accounts. We're going to identify them. And then we're going to go get 5 or 10 contacts at each of those accounts. And that's how we're going to end up at a list of 10,000 people. Or you can go straight lead, and you can look by job title and things like that. And then you can overlay that with tools like Seamless to go get their contact information.
And so you're saying you're going to use Sales Navigator here to identify the people you want to invite to your LinkedIn event webinar.
Yep.
And then you can use this tool to invite people to an event like this?
No, you need to extract. Let's say you built a list of 5,000 people. You need to overlay Seamless to get their information, their email information. Then you can email all 5,000 of those people and invite them to the webinar.
Got it. Okay.
Yep. But
so there's an email step in there as well.
There's an email step, but I would isolate this step to just building the right audience, because there's going to be the whole promotion strategy is a different one. So you need to think about that differently. Like you could email, I'll walk through how to message them, but the very first thing is you need to do the work of say hey, if we're going to maximize a sales funnel strategy, yes, we're going to use LinkedIn and HubSpot, but pillar 2 is make you do the work to say, this is the exact people that I want to know about my brand. And it could be 1,000 people, it could be 10,000 people, it could be 20,000 people. But the point is that B2B is different than B2C. B2C is let's get everyone in the world to find, we're not, if you're selling soap or something, get everyone to hear about it. But if there's only a certain amount of decision makers about your product, do the work to build that audience.
So the targeting is more ABM based, account-based marketing.
Account-based, yep, exactly. Flip the funnel, start with that audience and do the work there. Okay.
Love it.
Pillar 3, create your content. So this is incredibly, incredibly important. Once again, if you're creating 5 videos a day, that's a different strategy than a sales funnel. A sales funnel is what I recommend is a really valuable piece of content once a month or once every 2 months, and do the work to maximize and drive people to that. So that's why I love webinars. But as far as what type of content, what I like to do is to create DIY content. So I'll give you an example. This particular office that I am in is in our garage, because during COVID, it was I need a place. So I made this office. But in our garage, a few weeks ago, my 4-year-old was hanging on the garage door as it was going up. Garage door breaks, right? And I say, okay, so I put everyone to bed, and at around 8 p.m., I'm I'm gonna hop on YouTube and I'm gonna fix this garage door. Okay, within 5 minutes of watching a YouTube video about how to fix my garage door, I was I booked someone to come out the next day and fix my garage door. But before I was taught how to fix the garage door, I wasn't educated enough to know that I didn't know how to fix the garage door. But I watched the 5 minutes of the video and I was screw this. I'm hiring someone. And so there's different strategies for the content you can create, but the one that I'm seeing from a sales funnel perspective perform the best, as far as people type of content that would attract the right type of person that could then become a client, is teaching DIY, giving it away for free, knowing that there's going to be do-it-yourselfers out there that are going to take it, teach themselves and do it. but there's also going to be a percentage of the people that say, holy crap, that's a lot of work. And I'm gonna have to hire people anyways, and they're gonna look to me to teach them how to do it, and I don't know. So the option is hire whoever's putting on the webinar. So
I tend to agree with that approach quite strongly. I think in general, most buyers, especially in the B2B sense, that they want to understand the whole picture of the strategy they're going to be implementing. And that's why I think DIY makes a lot of sense, even though they might look at it and say, okay, that all makes sense. I see where all those pieces interconnect, but that is going to be a lot of work. I can see where some parts get complicated, and we should just hire the expert to implement it for us.
Totally. Yeah, no, that's a great point. Like, yeah, and part of it is them just educating themselves enough to make the right decision about where to spend their capital, to whether they need to hire in-house or hire, you know, your product or your agency or whatever.
And with so many strategies out there and tactics that can be implemented, they've got to make sure they fully understand which direction do they want to invest in. Yep. Not just who's going to be doing it, but which strategy is the one to go for.
Totally. I'll skip this one. Sugar-coated kale. That's another strategy. I'll share one other content strategy in sales funnels that works really well is guess with shared audiences. So that's literally what we're doing today. But the reason, let me show you the reason why. It's because if you go back up to this, because I'm doing this with you, Aaron, if someone has been following you for 3 years and now they attend, by association, I skipped 12 steps in their journey of getting to know me.
Yeah.
You know, so shared on, even if topics are like, I did one with a guy a few weeks ago who he talked on a personal operating system as a founder. That's not even related to like what we offer, but his clients are a similar client base. Like it's founders, it's high, really ambitious leaders, you know, and we did it together, and the value for both of us was getting in front of each other's audience. So, okay, so I'll move on from content to promote. Okay, so promoting. Let me show you. So I've got 5 strategies here for promoting, but it's by no, I mean, heck, with you could put a billboard up if you wanted to, but like these are the 5 most effective. I will. So from an email standpoint, I bucket people into 2 categories: suspects and prospects. Suspects would be people that you like in phase 2, building your audience, because those people didn't opt in, didn't say like, I know you, like you just identified them. I wouldn't consider them a prospect yet. And I would never put them in my CRM, and I would never email them from my domain to protect my domain, but I would consider them a suspect, and I would use MailChimp, and I would use a second domain. So like my domain,
outbound emailing, so to speak, cold emailing. Just be like cold outbound emailing.
Cold outbound email. But I think a lot of tactics with cold outbound email are like, hey, this is what we do. Do you want a demo? And that just, once again, skips that trust line. This is providing value. You're still emailing random people, random for them, right? They don't know you, but you've identified them, and then you're offering them value. You're saying, hey, here's this, here, check out this piece of content, you know, sign up. And then, so that's suspects. Prospects are people that are already in your world, already in your HubSpot or whatever CRM, already in your pipeline. Let me show this. This is crazy. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for a second so I don't show the client, but I think this is wild. When we do webinars for clients, which we do a bunch, we do like 2 or 3 a week at this point. When we host it for a client, over time they start stacking on top of each other, like more and more attendees. And in this example I'm going to show you, this is a real life example. About 70% of the people that showed up were already in the pipeline, right? So it wasn't like a net new contact. Yeah.
So the second webinar was essentially part of that nurture sales funnel step for the people that did it previously.
Yep. Yeah. So check this out. This client, they had 376 people, but only 105 of them were new. So there's another 276 that were already, that now the salespeople, is great because from a salesperson that's been chasing someone, they can see if that person signed up for the webinar is attending. And this particular client, the B2B, their average deal size is about $35,000 a year when they sell. And so this is a monthly revenue. So this was last November, and I intentionally pulled one up from a while ago because their sales cycle is like 6 months. But since that webinar, people who attended have closed 24 MRR of revenue, 24K. So that's suspects versus prospects. LinkedIn invites is another tactic. So this tactic is incredibly powerful. Let me show you exactly how it works. So on LinkedIn, once you have I'll do this. Once you have your event live, so you could host the webinar anywhere, but I recommend making a LinkedIn event just like we did, and I want to show you why. So if you are attending the event, you can come in here and you hit invite, and now any of your connections, so I have about 5,000 connections, you can directly invite any of your connections. So all you do is you come in here. I'm just going to do it right now. Boom. I invited 3 people, and you get about you see about a 5 to 10% RSVP rate with this invite, and it's not pushy. I know everyone is probably sick of like DMs over here, but where it shows up is as a notification in my network that you've been invited to this or that event. So that's that particular LinkedIn strategy, and I'm telling you, it's incredibly effective right now. And of course, organic posting, and like you can always paid ads drive traffic to it. So any questions, Aaron, on the promote?
No, I think it's pretty straightforward. I imagine you could probably do like DMing also, right? You could just copy paste the link and send it to people using automation, to like Duck Soup or something like that.
Yeah, you can totally do that. Yeah, that's a great strategy too. Yeah, what we do is we typically send about 1,000 invites based on the method I just said, and then anybody that RSVPs the day of the event, we DM them like, hey, here's the link. And you can also set up, well, here, I'll show you.
And one thing on that invites method that you just showed us, I think you told me that you're limited to about 1,000 invites per month total events, correct?
Right, you're limited to 1,000.
Just a lot, not a small event, but I guess
totally.
if you bring in DMs and other methods, you could reach even more people.
Yep, totally. And then what you can do is you can also set up like different Zapiers and stuff to like remind people, to like make it add to their calendar, or send them reminder emails. And one thing we do with clients is like, once again in Miro, we diagram out. So this shows for a client like, what is the promotion strategy we're going to do? This client, we are going to do organic social, HubSpot emails, suspect emails, LinkedIn invites. And then for the actual day of, we're using Zapier to add it, to send thank you emails and add it to their calendar. And then afterwards, like a follow-up strategy. So that's something to like consider as well.
You write all those emails for your clients and implement that whole process.
Say again.
You implement that whole process for your clients. You write the emails for them. You set up all the automations, the workflows, all that.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Cool.
Yep. Okay, the last one is Amplify. So basically the other beauty of a webinar, and if you do one of these every, let's say 6 weeks, like after a year, you're gonna have 6 or 7 of them. They stack. But what you want to start doing is make a library and make it gated. So that webinar lives on, but it's gated. You're continually driving leads into it because you had this point in time where you did it and you created all the follow-up stuff. That stuff is already in place. And in addition, you can cut that up. You can make an ebook out of it. You can write an article about it. You can edit it into 4 to 8 other social post videos. So the last piece is like, what I find with B2B companies is that from a content standpoint, their focus is so much on sales that content is an afterthought. But if you can focus for one piece of really, really good content every 6 to 8 weeks, then either an agency or someone in-house can get 2 months of runway out of that, as far as like breaking that into a lot of different things and using it and things like that. So I think it's a really, really good use of time.
I would put one layer on top of that in terms of amplification is that if you've got a good piece of content that's essentially evergreen and it's effective, you see this piece is actually converting leads, is doing partnership content collaborations where you've written this, you've put time and effort obviously into putting this presentation together, and now you're sharing it with me with my audience. You can go find 10 other people that work with your same audience but don't compete with you and start delivering it to more and more audiences. So you've built the thing, now just go find more people for these types of partnerships and collaborations and reach more and more people's audiences that you can borrow and then trust to you.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah, and as you do that, they want to see, well, what does one look like, and you can share it. And then the last one I just have as a bonus, like stack them, like literally just start. Like not every single one is going to perform the way you think it is, but man, after a year, if you commit to this strategy and you have 6 or 7 or 8 of these, you're gonna be like, man, we have 500 more MQLs. We've influenced $500,000 in revenue, and wow, we know which one of these, we know which one of these is really resonating. So yeah, that being said, these are the 5 pillars. Infrastructure, get it in place. Really, really get serious about your audience. Build the funnel, promote, and then amplify it. And the last thing here is just, this is my info. If you'd ever like to talk, that's Aaron's info. And with that being, I know we're 1 minute until the 30 minutes. I'll give it like, if there's any questions, there's a Q&A we could drop in. We might only take one of them.
Well, I've got one quick question for you, then hopefully we'll have for somebody else. Setting this up, you had mentioned that the fact, we're doing a LinkedIn event, but we're also doing it through Zoom. And you mentioned that there's some important reasons for why we're using Zoom as opposed to just doing everything natively within LinkedIn.
Yeah, that's a great question. So when you set it up, it'll give you 2 options. So like go over here, go to events, and then you need to decide, is this going to be a LinkedIn Live or an external event league? The thing is, LinkedIn doesn't have any native video options. So even a LinkedIn Live, you have to use one of 4, I think it's 4 platforms like Restream. There's 3 more, and all of those have some limitations. The difference is, I'll tell you what the difference is. There's pros and cons. And if you're interested in those, I can follow up and give you more info. We've done like an analysis and gone through this with a number of clients. If you do Zoom as an external event, it doesn't, if you do one of the LinkedIn Lives, we would literally be playing right here.
Yeah.
But the negative is you can't see who attends and you can't get a recording of it afterwards. So, or if you have the recording, you have to send the link to this page, as opposed to like putting on YouTube or cutting it up and breaking it up into like little bite-sized snippets.
So this webinar won't live on LinkedIn natively.
It only lives on here based on this link right here.
So really, this is a Zoom event which has been publicized through LinkedIn.
Yeah. Technically, that would be accurate.
And you mentioned, and a regular Zoom account won't cut it. You have to have the webinar functionality, which is a bit more expensive on Zoom.
$79 a month, and then you literally could externally link to any webinar platform. We use Zoom because we do this on behalf of a bunch of clients, and every client is super familiar with Zoom.
Yep.
So, and typically with clients, I like the founder to do the presentation, and sometimes founders are just like, their heads are in the clouds. They're like, I don't want to learn a new platform. So Zoom is like super easy.
Totally makes sense.
Yeah. Looks like we have. Oh yeah, someone asked, couldn't you just do a LinkedIn Live and then record your own screen and then add it to your content library later? Yeah, you could do that. The benefit of doing it as a Zoom is that you see who's attending. So like for me and Aaron as the host, we can see everyone that attends. To watch this, you had to put your email in. So and Zoom has like stats, like how long people were on and stuff like that. So that most of our clients are pretty interested in that information after the fact.
Good question.
Yeah, that's a great question. Great. Well, everyone, we went 2 minutes over. Aaron, I super appreciate your time, man. That's been really fun.
I learned a lot. It's great stuff. I'm already thinking about how I can start integrating some webinars and combining with LinkedIn right now myself. Because I think it's very powerful. I think just bringing a lot of more people, gaining followers, gaining email subscribers, getting people into your CRM, nurturing people, all makes a lot of sense. And it's something I'm excited to influence my clients as well.
Cool.
So
awesome. If anybody has any questions, reach out. And if not, we'll see you soon.
Great. Thanks, everybody.
See ya.